Johnny Cavs, what's going on, baby?
It's a pleasure to be here. Finally, we could make this happen.
Knocked it down. It down. So tell me about these Loro. How do you say it? What is it, Loro?
Loro Piana.
Loro Piana. That sounds like something super fancy.
They're understated, but probably the most comfortable shoes that you could ever put on. They're absolutely fabulous. Difficult to get unless you go to Toronto.
Or unless you're John Goodrum.
that may help, but I highly doubt that. But yeah, you need to get some.
All right, I'll get some of those. So one thing that I think is very notable that's happened in your life the last little bit is you got a little boy, right?
I absolutely do, yes.
All right, let's talk about him for just a minute. It's baby Ari.
Baby Ari. So baby Ari is about to turn 2 October 4th. The love of my life, it certainly changed my complete outlook on life. Not that I was selfish before by any means. I consider myself to be a very loving, generous person, but it completely changed my outlook. I have 2 beautiful stepsons as well. Lucas is 13, Jackson is 8, and it's just given me a whole new perspective. It was some exciting news from this trip. Typically, when I'm traveling and touch base with baby Ari on FaceTime, he typically starts getting upset and crying because he sees Dad on the phone.
Yeah, that's right.
But this was the first breakthrough trip where we were able to have conversations and he was smiling and laughing. So that was one big takeaway from the trip here in Helsinki.
Man, I cannot believe he's getting ready to be 2. I remember us being together and you're like, hey, dude, I'm going to be a dad.
Exactly.
It just, Evan, my son, loves you. You guys play golf, hang out together. And, man, it goes super fast.
It truly
enjoy.
Does.
I know we travel a lot. We got to be gone from family, but make sure you cherish every single second you can get with him.
Absolutely will do so. Evan is a fine young man. I enjoy spending time with him. I remember when we played golf that day at Latrobe when he was just graduating high school. And now he has, 1 year left, or he'll finish up in the spring.
He's finishing up in the spring,
yeah. And just to your point, how time flies, and enjoy every single moment that you can.
Yeah. So talking about Evan, just to give you an idea how much he respects you, the other podcast that I have is called Misfit Social Podcast.
Okay.
And so at the end of it, we always ask somebody, they're like, hey, tell somebody, who's a misfit that you like super respect? We've had everybody from Jesus to Jimi Hendrix to all kinds of different people. And so Evan was on the pod last season. And so when we asked him, his misfit was John Goodrum. 100%.
Well, that's an honor. That's an honor. This bit of your podcast is new to me, but I would probably go with Evan as my misfit. So it's an honor to be recognized by him. I'm in good company.
So you own and are the president of Basic Carbide, right?
Yes.
So just give me some notable facts on, hey, this is what Basic Carbide is. This is what we do. Just talk about that.
Basic
for a little
Carbide, we've just celebrated 44 years in business. I know I've known you, Cliff, for a long time. We were just young bucks coming up in the industry through back then Osram Sylvania events in Texas.
Right. Yeah.
In Dallas is where I first met you. And I've worked at Basic Carbide since I was 14 years old. And basically every step of the process in our manufacturing process. We're a tungsten carbide manufacturer. We start with tungsten carbide powders. We have one plant dedicated to cobalt binder, a plant dedicated to tungsten carbide with nickel binder, and a high volume press plant. Historically, we've manufactured tungsten carbide preforms, but due to some of the challenges we were facing and the industry evolving, historically we would provide preform blanks to our customers. They would do all the finish work themselves. But over the years, more and more companies wanted things either semi-finished or completely finished from us. So we were working with local partners during COVID with the labor shortage, our lead times. We were historically, offered competitive pricing, excellent quality, and some of, if not the best lead times in our industry. Yeah. And we faced those challenges with the labor shortages, and our lead times were extended. our local partners that were doing the finish grinding work for us, their lead times were also extended. So we were facing a lot of challenges and losing work to our friendly competitors. We all, work together and support the industry, but losing work because we weren't fully integrated and able to offer that service. So we made the decision. We acquired a company that we had a long relationship with. We were their largest supplier. They were also dealing with some of our competitors, and predominantly they were in manufacturing parts and components for the oil and gas space, the energy space, but they have the capabilities to really, finish grind carbide, polish carbide.
And what year did you do that acquisition in?
So in February of 25, we celebrated 1 year of the anniversary. Yes.
Yeah. So we're kind of chatting about a lot of inside information, preforms, inside industry, and all these acronyms that we're used to. I always say that if you ever watch that show, How It's Made, where they dump like a liquid aluminum or steel out to kind of roll apart or not center the part, because that's what we do, but like even if it's making like an aluminum drain for something you would have at your house, we don't deal with tungsten that way. Tungsten is a part that you're kind of presetting. It wouldn't be like a coffee mug or anything, but maybe like a bearing. A lot of people know what bearings are, or like a valve seat, something like that. So when you're saying you're making a preform on that and you press it, it's still kind of soft, right? Like it's not fully hardened.
Exactly. So when we isostatically press, we can make solid rounds, rectangular billets, a round with an inside diameter hole in it. But when we press it and we do our machining in what's called the green state, it's a very hard abrasive material, very brittle, so handling is key and important. We use all diamond tooling, but in the green state, before it's sintered, it's much easier for us to machine. So we're basically, it's about the consistency of chalkboard chalk. You can
that's a great example.
Yes, you can literally pick it up and break it, and once the tungsten carbide is sintered, it's one of the hardest man-made materials. There may be some ceramics and some other materials that get a little tougher or harder, but tungsten carbide is one of the toughest man-made materials.
And so when you're saying sintering, we don't actually melt tungsten. And you mentioned binders earlier. You do cobalt binder, nickel binder.
Yes.
Like that's what takes it from a chalk into like a hard part that won't break, right? And so your binder, whether it's nickel, cobalt, that kind of works like the glue.
Exactly.
And hardens it.
Yes, we use the term sintering for our furnaces. We use both vacuum sinter furnaces and sinter hip furnaces. Obviously the vacuum furnaces sinter under vacuum. In the sinter hip process, we're actually inducing an argon gas. So if you would have any quality issues, porosity, you would essentially, it's a pressurized vessel, so you're exactly right. And tungsten also has one of the highest melting temperatures. And what we're doing in the sintering process is it's the binder that goes into like a liquid or a plastic phase.
Gotcha.
And so that material flows, and that's where under pressure, if you had any porosity or pits or voids, in theory, it should fill those in.
Yeah, and you've showed me when I've been in your lab, like some of the, how big of a microscope, like how many thousands does that do when you're like checking for the cracks and all that?
Yeah, so standard in tungsten carbide, we're looking at 200x and 1500x. So we'll actually chemically etch. Some of the testing we do, we look at the hardness on a Rockwell A scale. We look at the microstructure, the density. These are all common things used in our industry to make sure that each grade we're manufacturing, basically that we're hitting the metallurgical properties for that particular grade.
Yeah, I kind of think of it like when you're looking at asphalt, like on the edge of it or when it's got some wear on it, you can see the rock in the asphalt, but once it gets sintered and it doesn't have any of that porosity, it's just smooth.
Exactly.
And some of your parts that I think you guys excel in, you do like a mirror polish. I mean, you can hold it up, whatever it is, and like see your reflection in it, just like a mirror, right?
Yes, and that's sort of the sandbox that we play in. We've always kind of gone after the more difficult, complex geometry, the parts that are difficult to manufacture. We've invested significantly in the technology and equipment to be able to manufacture these parts. And also, you know, from a material standpoint, we start with the absolute best quality materials from the tungsten carbide, cobalt, and nickel, globally available in the world. But you're exactly right. We are typically going after applications that require the best materials, and our parts can be polished to a mirror finish.
Yeah, that is, some of the parts that you make are some of the most beautiful. I don't think about beauty all the time when we think about metal, but they are really amazingly beautiful products.
Absolutely. In a lot of ways, it's, you know, manufacturing tungsten carbide, if you think about it in terms that everyone can relate to, it's truly like starting with a rough diamond and, you know, grinding and polishing a diamond. It's a very similar process.
And just real quick, your dad was the founder, right?
Yes, my father started Basic Carbide in 1981. And he initially had 2 partners, but now, you know, my sister Jennifer and I have owned the company largely since 2012. My father still has a small equity stake, and we have some key employees that have been with us for many years that, you know, play a key role in our success that also have a small equity stake in the company.
Yeah. Well, you guys have an awesome family story. It is definitely an American dream for sure. I've loved your dad for a long time. Your mom was an amazing woman, and sorry she's not here with us anymore.
Yes,
but she always made me feel, and I know she didn't know me as well as she made me feel like she knew me.
Oh, but she loved the boys from Tungco.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like she knew me when I was an infant. Like, that's how she made me feel,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And you have that same love. And one of the things I want to say that I appreciate about you is your genuineness, your kindness, your willingness to give, your willingness to really kind of slug through a lot of bullshit and still just be a guy who keeps love at the heart of what he does. You've got my absolute respect. You've got my son's respect, and you're like a brother to me. Wow. And I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, Cliff, and I have the same utmost respect for you and your family. We have very similar beginnings, and you know, you end up building your team and your colleagues, your clients that you work with, they become your friends. Yeah. And I mean, you spend a lot of your time in life working, and it's truly an honor. And I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy working with you and your team at Tungco.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. I think our next project needs to be, we need to come up with a tungsten tequila.
I like that. Let's get working on that.
I love you, buddy.
Love
Appreciate
you.
Give me a pair of them shoes, all right?
Will do. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes.